We have a problem. The simulation that I developed in the last video doesn't really work as well as I wanted it to. What I mean by that is that the simulation only runs for about 5 minutes on average until either the prey or the predators die out, which then ends the simulation. So I'm thinking that maybe we can make some tweaks to the predators so that they don't really kill them straight away and the prey have a fighting chance at surviving for a longer period of time. How am I going to undertake this, you ask? Luck. Yeah, so this took less than 5 minutes to add into the simulation, and now the AI have been given a luck trait. So now when they get attacked by an enemy, the more luck that they have, then the higher chance that the predator won't do any damage to them. This means that they'll hopefully live a bit longer and make the simulation last longer as well at the same time. Okay, so I've added some text displaying the current best time, and I decided to set the expectations for 400 seconds, or just over 6.5 minutes. But I'm still hoping we can at least get to maybe anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. This generation ended up being the longest time so far, with 480 seconds. And as you can see, the main idea is to be really small and fast, because they can make some pretty crazy maneuvers around enemies. But sadly, they still ended up dying, but at least they ended up with a respectful time. 482 seconds is good, but I'd like to try again and maybe get to somewhere around 900 seconds this time. Just so you know, the generation that you just saw cost me a whopping 58 gigabytes worth of video footage. And after a lot of time had passed, I finally got a generation that was actually somewhat decent. It managed to get about, I think it was about 15 to 18 minutes worth of time. Okay, so now let's just look at the data that was recorded from the previous run, and... Wait. What? Wait, where's... No! What I was trying to find was the data from the last 10 surviving prey, so that I could put it into a graph and showcase the stats from the last survivors. But of course my luck is not that good. So I'm going to run the simulation once again so that we can get an accurate reading of the stats. Okay, so I changed a few things, so now the prey has more likely chance of not getting killed by the predators. How I did this was I just made it so that the prey doesn't need an astronomical amount of luck to not take any damage from the predator. I feel like the reason the prey wasn't ever surviving is because of how I set the predators to be. But if the prey ever had a chance to evolve and not die straight away, then the AI can evolve past my flaws and account for it by changing their speed, size, luck, or reproduction rate. So I've put all the stats into different graphs, and the first one we'll be looking at is speed. How it works is every 60 seconds, the game will automatically put the average stats, in this case the speed, into an array, which I can then translate into a graph. You can see that the y-axis is the amount of speed, and the x-axis is the point of which the average speed was recorded at. So number 1 would be the average speed 60 seconds into the simulation, number 2 would be 120 seconds, and number 3 would be 180 seconds, etc. We can see that the average speed peaked at 1.2, and the lowest being 0.8. To put that into reference, this speed is 0.8, and this is 1.2. And something that would be considered fast would be 2.0 speed. I was actually quite interested by this. The size never changed enough for the average to be different from the set values, but for some reason it seemed like being larger was the way to go before becoming extinct towards the end of the simulation. This was very interesting. As the simulation started, there wasn't any need to have a faster reproduction rate, as everyone was getting on just fine. But as the simulation was about to come to an end, the prey realized that they wouldn't survive if they didn't reproduce fast enough, thus explaining the exponential drop in the graph. Just as an explanation, the lower the number, the faster the reproduction rate is. Throughout the entire simulation, the average luck was constantly rising, as it's an essential for surviving for them. This was probably the most weird outcome that I hadn't expected. I thought that having a larger vision radius would lead to longer surviving, but it seems I was proven wrong, as the average neither declined or descended apart from the end of the simulation when everyone died out. We can see the prey maxed out at 250 population, which I made as their cap, And as soon as the predator's population reached somewhere around 20, the prey population immediately started to decline rapidly. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching the simulation and the graphs. If you have any more ideas on traits that I can add to the AI, then please let me know, and thank you for watching the simulation with me.